It's so nice to see you. Everyone is aware there was a huge viral moment in sports reporting. And you, Monica, were at the center of it concerning an appearance on Stephen A. Smith's show and a young basketball player on The Fever. Who's apparently generating quite a bit of controversy.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that viral moment.
All right, so the conversation, John, it started about this foul over the weekend that Kennedy Carter for the Chicago Sky fouled Caitlin Clark of the Indiana Fever. And I'm not going to lie to you, John, if I take you through my day that morning, I get the call or the text rather, and I'm like, are we really leading sports with this? Are we really leading sports with a foul?
A person got knocked over in a basketball game.
In sports. All right, I'm like, fine, let's just do it. So we have the conversation with colleagues and friends, Stephen A. Smith, Shannon Sharp, and my larger point in the conversation was the tenor and the prevailing narrative that has been created around this season's WNBA play is that it's the league versus Caitlin Clark, and that is just absolutely false. It is unfair to the women that have been there building this league to this moment so that Caitlin Clark's popularity could take it to the next level. And so, by the end of the show, John, the tone had changed, and I just kind of needed to put my foot down a little bit.
There was some defensiveness on the part of the individuals. You've covered basketball for many, many years. You played basketball.
I did.
You follow the NBA for many years. You know what you're talking about. The tenor of the conversation, as I could tell, was they were saying to you, no, we know what we're talking about, even though we just tuned into this whole thing last Wednesday.
And there it is, right? And so, as I have said about this, it was a little bit of a challenge, right, to gentlemen that I admire in terms of what they've built. Because if you haven't been here, I need 3 years. I need you to kind of have jumped in when Sedona Prince went viral for calling out the NCAA. I need you kind of to be here as this league has seen its best viewership year to year. Now, yes, it has absolutely been taken over the top this year, but this has been a snowballing effect to get to this moment. And so, while Caitlin is fantastic, and I think she's going to have an incredible career in the WNBA, there are women that were worthy of coverage prior to her arriving, and I just will not be silenced when it comes to that.
Right. Beautifully said. Now, and I'm going to tell you this.
Tell me.
I have not particularly followed the WNBA on a day-to-day. I follow women's basketball sometimes more in college, I think, and in the old days, Dawn Staley and those players, I did follow that. But I have incredibly strong opinions about it anyway.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
But what did strike me when I started watching the highlights is, you know, this is a very physical league. You know, so many people complain about the NBA now as the league is soft and they don't play like they did, like the Knicks did in the 90s with Oak and with Mason and all those guys. And then you see this physical league and now they're saying, hey, why so physical? And I guess I'm struggling to understand, is it because so many new fans are being introduced to this who don't have the context?
Bingo, nailed it. You could have a talk show, John.
Let's go. Let's get out of here.
Let's do it.
I nailed it.
Let's do it.
First take. I'm on first take.
All kidding aside, yes, right? And listen, again, I am by no means going to be naive to the popularity of Caitlin Clark, but there is a contingent that followed her, and let's expand it out to other women's college programs that have been terrific. South Carolina, LSU, we'll just go with those three. Stanford, if you will, right? If you've only watched the college game for however long and not followed the WNBA, you don't know that not only are these 144 of the best women basketball players in the world, most of them in their offseason, they're not kicking it. They're in Europe playing in leagues that are arguably even more physical. And so the brand of basketball just has a level of toughness. Now, to me, I think the part of this conversation, John, that has been daunting for me is sports is about competing. It is literally the foundation. We need to score, we got to compete. And in the conversation around how we navigate the attention on the women's game, somewhere in there, competition should be watered down to protect the asset.
Yeah, no, but you know in your heart there is another layer of conversation going on beneath this that has been introduced onto the stage, and that is, look, we all know everything that underlines society in many ways goes along race, class, and gender. And race, class, and gender has entered the conversation.
In a very large way. And I think what is interesting, and I'm hoping that more folks are like, yo, this basketball is great. Like, I want to learn more about these women. Race, culture, gender are things that the women of the WNBA have never shied away from. Right? A part of the bubble in 2020, they impact the election that goes down in Georgia in terms of standing on their values, right? But if we have a conversation about this societal totem pole, if you will, Black women, a large representation of queer women, like these are all things that sit at intersectional identities that we just opened up your show talking about valuing these things,
that's
right?
That's exactly
and
right.
And so there are all these isms that have made the WNBA beautiful for 28 years, including this season, and even the WNBA has had to have its arc in terms of growth and leaning into who they are and who these women are both on and off the court. But it is at the base of it. If we for a second can take all that out, you're really about to tell women how to compete and you just got here?
Right.
What we doing?
But and what's so amazing about it is what I have heard from some of the commentary are people who just got there saying, this is so unfair to the sweet white girl. Now, first of all, Caitlin Clark looks like a competitor. She looks like somebody
100%.
who's really a competitor. But the odd part is I'm always interested in this idea that sports exists outside of the fault lines of regular society and isn't a reflection of those things and a continuation in some respects of those battles.
That existence is for probably like 20% of men's sports. And then you got to deal with race. And then there's other things that you got to deal with. But like we said, women's sports sits right in the midst of all of that. We could be not talking about basketball, and we got plenty of women's issues that we know have our country on fire, right?
Right.
And so I think it's a beautiful time, and I don't think anybody that is a part of this league or has covered this league, sure, we lament kind of keeping this little thing that we love to protect it from all of the noise, right?
Right.
But in the
Well,
same breath, the eyeballs and the visibility and the growth is better for all involved. I mean, frankly, John, like, Caitlin Clark got me here, right? You know what I mean? And
Not true.
Well,
no, let me tell you this. So I am going to tell you this. The viral moment maybe brought you to some national attention. I have been loving what you do. You are such a good basketball analyst and announcer. I've been following you on the New York Knicks, you and O'Keefe. Some of my favorite moments are the two of you. O'Keefe is
Pat O'Keefe, my partner,
the play-by-play guy. I mean, you're so knowledgeable. I love basketball. I've been following the Knicks for 130 years. I love it.
All right, yep.
I was in the stands in Madison Square Garden at the very top of it when they played the Celtics in double overtime when they won the championship in '72 and that against the Celtics when it looks like all was lost. I've loved it for a long time. Your voice, your knowledge, your passion has cut through it for me. It's very rare that I turn on the radio or hear a new voice and go, oh, that person, they can explain this to me. And you really do.
I appreciate
You're
that, John.
You're a wonderful analyst. I mean that. Wholeheartedly. That's how you got here.
Thank you. Okay.
By the way, I'd have had you on every day during the playoffs.
Oh, wow. My guy. We had fun. That was a good one.
Is there some sense of, like, a little bit of, like, when an indie band hits it big? Are there people within the WNBA community who feel like, I don't want this to belong to everybody. I want it to belong to this band of sisters that have worked so hard to make it something? Whoa, Monica NcNutt, one of the band.
I have had that moment a few times.
Right.
Because as much as the conversation has been dictated by the audience, right, we still haven't really sat up and talked about the actual basketball of it, John.
Right.
I don't know how many people just joined the WNBA understand that the Las Vegas Aces are chasing down a three-peat, which hasn't been done since the formative years of the league in the Houston Comets. I don't know how many people know that the Connecticut Sun just lost their first game the other day. They were 9-0 to start the season, right? What names can I help introduce you to? I mean, if you pick up a Rolling Stone, Asia Wilson and Brandon Stewart are part of the next issue, I believe. And so we've opened the door, but we're still like looking in instead of walking in, if I may.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And so I think it's a really unique time. And even with this Olympic team stuff, right? Caitlin Clark, who you had mentioned, is a tremendous competitor, said herself, that's the toughest team to make.
Right.
Not surprised.
And she's a rookie. She's just coming out of Iowa.
She can say that, and she can also feel as if something in her has been awoken in terms of making that a goal of her own, right? Like,
right.
I would hope, and I know this is not a thing in sports, we got to remember that two things can be true. Right? She's been great for the league, but there were 144 women prior to her and this class that had gotten this thing up to year 28.
Right. No, no question. And I think one of the difficulties of it is because it's a small league, I think people don't realize, as small as the NBA is, there's still 2 rounds of a draft, and there are guys that get picked up out of a G League, and there's space on a team, there's a big roster. When you're in the WNBA, boy, there's just not that many teams, and you're talking about a draft, even when it's 8 deep, 12 deep, some of those people may not make the team.
Very
These
true.
are women that have been playing the game for a very long time.
To that point, John, like
Yes.
the conversation about marketing, yeah, sure, got it, makes sense, right? But there's also got to be a realization that these women that have made this thing their living, they are not necessarily chasing the financial benefit. The WNBA highest paid player makes $250,000.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so there is
Isn't that
room.
how Brittany Griner ended up in Russia? She was playing overseas because it doesn't make the money.
That's exactly it. So many of these women supplement their income in the league that they play out of love to play at home with their teammates in front of their families, and they go get their real money overseas.
Right.
That is changing. I do think that this class and Clark is all a part of it changing, but I think just to slap on, do this because of the money, again, is disrespectful and unfair to the women that have gotten this league to this point.
As a broadcaster, your story in some ways mirrors the story of the WNBA in terms of having to fight for attention with people who, in some respects, are not particularly humble about their position and slightly defensive about those who may come at it from a different perspective. Do you see that reflected in what you had to go through and your journey to get to the desk that you're at now? And does that give you hope for the WNBA's future?
First of all, I'm thrilled about the WNBA's future. And yes, right, I didn't go to the WNBA, but I played sports all the way through college. Shout out to my Georgetown Hoyas, right? And so that foundation, that base, that understanding hard work, improvement, that understanding of competition, all of those things have helped me to be able to stand 10 toes down in these various rooms and these various conversations, right?
It's intimidating.
It is. And in the same breath, the people that I'm having conversations with, whether they are well-established television personalities or former athletes, they have done the same in their own way, right? But it is a reminder, because of my background in sports, shout out to keeping young girls in sports for this exact reason, I too can be confident in the work that I've done to get to this place. And for me, that has been beautiful.
It is beautiful. And it really brings up the interesting question. Who does have the worst takes?
Any given day, John.
Any given day. All right. Final question. I am an enormous Knicks fan.
Yes, we know.
And I want desperately to know if what I'm seeing, if the love that I am feeling, I have opened my heart again. Monica, it's been so long. But thank you so much. I've opened up my heart again to a basketball team. I never thought it would happen again.
I'm proud of you. I'm so proud of you. That was a big move.
But Monica, I have to tell you something.
Tell me.
I'm afraid to be hurt.
It's okay.
And will the Knicks hurt me?
Life is full of
That was a hesitation, Monica. That was not. That was a hesitation. I want them to be great.
Listen, I think they are on the right track.
All right.
But you got to play the games.
That's why we go to the game. And I don't want to be a sad meme anymore, which is always what happens when I'm at the games. Monica, what a delight to meet you, and I'm such a fan of yours, and I wish you all the best and continued success. Monica NcNutt of ESPN and New York Knicks Radio.